Most men chase women with words. They send message after message trying to say the right thing, trying to make her laugh, trying to prove that they're interesting. But the more they talk, the more they lose power. The harder they try, the less she feels. Because attraction doesn't grow through words. It grows through feeling. A Sigma man understands this. He knows that chasing attention only makes you ordinary. He doesn't compete by talking louder. He stands out by being still. When other men try to impress her, he doesn't rush. He doesn't explain. He doesn't perform. He lets his calm energy speak for him. A woman can sense when a man is centered. She may not know why, but she feels it. She feels safe around his energy, even when he says little. That's what makes her curious. That's what makes her look twice. Because the Sigma doesn't need to convince her that he's different. He simply is. Real influence doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what your energy teaches her to believe about you. When you walk into a room, before you even speak, she's already reading you. Your posture, your tone, your eyes, the peace or pressure behind your presence. If that presence is grounded, she feels it. Her instincts relax. Her curiosity awakens. You can't force chemistry. You can't make anyone love you through effort or performance. But you can shape how they experience you. You can train your energy to say what your words never could. That you're calm when others panic, focused when others fumble, rare when others blend in. When she feels that, everything changes. She stops craving attention and starts craving your peace. She begins to link your presence with calmness. And when you leave, she feels the silence you left behind. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. It's the discipline of a man who controls himself so deeply that the world adjusts to his rhythm. That's what this video is about. Learning how to project energy that doesn't beg to be seen, but demands to be felt. I'll show you 7 simple ways to shape how she experiences you, not through tricks or lines, but through quiet confidence, emotional control, and presence. By the end, you won't just understand what a Sigma looks like, you'll feel it. You'll know how to stand as the calm in her storm, the stillness in her chaos, and the one energy she can't forget. Let's begin. Speak less, feel more. Most men believe that connection comes from constant talking, from the right line, the perfect story, or endless messages that keep her attention. They think if they just say enough, she'll finally see their value. But words rarely create attraction. What pulls a woman in is not what you say. It's what she feels when she's around you. You could have the best words in the world and still lose her interest. Or you could say almost nothing and stay in her thoughts for days. That's because communication isn't just sound, it's energy. A Sigma man understands that silence itself can speak volumes. Silence isn't emptiness, it's tension, it's curiosity, it's presence. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you pause before replying, you show control. When you look at her and hold that moment, calm and steady, you create a kind of emotional gravity. She starts to feel your rhythm, slow, sure, unbothered. She starts to listen differently, not to the noise of your words, but to the steadiness of your energy. Talking too much gives everything away. Explaining too much kills the mystery. But quiet confidence draws her in because it gives her something to wonder about. Curiosity is where attraction begins. When she can't read you completely, her mind keeps returning to you, trying to understand. And every time she does, the connection grows stronger. Picture it. She tells a story and looks at you, expecting a quick reply. Instead, you just look at her, relaxed, present, saying nothing for a moment. You smile slightly, breathe easily, and let the silence do the work. That pause makes her heart beat faster, not because you said anything special, but because you didn't. You didn't rush to impress. You didn't try to win. You just were. Now she's thinking about you differently. She wonders what's behind that calm. Why don't you rush to fill the silence? Why do you seem so sure of yourself? That quiet mystery becomes your advantage. She starts to feel your steadiness as strength. That's how a Sigma communicates. He doesn't talk to be heard. He exists to be felt. His stillness creates meaning. His composure creates attraction. So when you're with her, stop trying to prove that you're interesting. Let her feel that you are. Keep your voice calm. Breathe slowly. Let your energy speak louder than your words. When you master that, you stop being just another man competing for attention. You become a presence, the calm she craves and the mystery she can't explain. Stillness is louder than words. I move in silence. Stay unbothered, always. The instant you let emotions take over, you hand away your power. You don't lose control of her, you lose control of yourself. And once that happens, the energy shifts. She stops feeling safe in your presence and starts sensing something uncertain, something unstable. A Sigma man never lets that happen. He doesn't react. He doesn't beg for answers or try to read her mind. He doesn't spiral into "what did I do wrong" or drown in overthinking. He stays steady, quiet, grounded. That calm isn't coldness. It's discipline. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The Sigma knows that silence and composure communicate more power than any outburst ever could. When she pulls back, he doesn't chase. When she gets distant, he doesn't panic. When she tests him, he doesn't fight. He simply remains himself, unmoved, unbothered, untouchable. Because here's what most men never realize. Every reaction is an energy leak. Every time you rush to fix, explain, or defend, you teach her that her mood has power over you. And the moment she senses that, she loses respect for your energy. A woman's tests are not meant to destroy you. They're meant to reveal you. She wants to feel that your foundation is solid, that your emotions don't crumble under pressure. When you remain centered through tension, you reprogram her instincts. She stops seeing you as another man trying to prove himself and starts feeling you as a man who's already enough. That's when the paradox appears. You're calm, but never passive, detached, but fully present, warm, but impossible to control. That combination pulls her in. Because when everyone else reacts, the man who stays calm becomes the anchor. You're the eye in the storm, the place where chaos stops. You're the rhythm that doesn't break. And she feels that, even if she can't explain it. It's not dominance, it's emotional mastery. A Sigma doesn't need to control the situation. He controls himself. And that self-control transforms everything around him. When you stay calm, she feels it in her body. Her guard drops. Her curiosity rises. Her respect deepens. Because she realizes something rare. You can't be shaken. So the next time she goes quiet or pushes your buttons, don't bite the bait. Don't match her storm. Breathe. Let silence do the work. Keep your pace. Your peace is your power, and once you learn to protect it, nothing and no one can throw you off balance again. The calm man always controls the frame. I stay calm. Control the energy, not the outcome. You can't control what another person feels. You can't decide when she's happy, when she's distant, or when she suddenly pulls away. Those things live outside your reach. What you can control, what actually changes everything, is the energy you bring into the moment. That energy becomes the atmosphere she breathes when she's with you. Every woman senses emotion before she listens to words. Before she understands what you said, she has already felt what your tone and energy said for you. That's why a Sigma never tries to chase emotions or fix them. He creates them. His calm presence sets a rhythm that others naturally fall into. When you walk into a room, your mood becomes the weather. If you're calm, people soften. If you're anxious, they tighten. If you're grounded, she feels safe without knowing why. If you're scattered, She feels uneasy, even when your words sound right. People don't react to logic, they react to energy. Women, especially, are emotional mirrors. Their nervous systems sync with yours. If you live in chaos, she feels the storm. If you live in peace, she feels sunlight. That's why the Sigma doesn't fix moods with speeches. He doesn't argue to be understood. He simply radiates steadiness until the space around him adjusts. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer reacts to the temperature around it. It goes up and down depending on what's happening. That's most men. When she's quiet, they panic. When she's emotional, they match her intensity. When she pulls away, they chase harder. But the thermostat? It decides the temperature and holds it steady until everything else catches up. When you become that steady presence, you stop being one of many and start being someone she respects. Because while everyone else gets pulled by her emotions, you remain still. You don't lose tone. You don't lose rhythm. You don't lose yourself. That quiet consistency builds trust. She may not understand why, but she starts to relax in your presence. Her nervous system feels safe. Her mind stops racing. She can finally breathe. That's what real leadership looks like. Not control over others, but command over yourself. You don't need to change her. You only need to master your inner weather. When your calm becomes stronger than her storm, she begins to follow your energy naturally. She looks to you for stability, not out of dependency, but out of instinct. A Sigma understands that chaos doesn't require control. It requires calm. When you hold your calm, you hold the frame. You stop chasing validation, stop over-explaining, and stop reacting. You simply exist in your rhythm, and everything else starts to move in tune with you. Control the atmosphere, and the world adjusts to your peace. I am the thermostat. Give her mental space to miss you. Most men believe that attention equals affection. They think the more they text, call, or show up, the stronger the connection becomes. So they flood her phone with messages, reply the moment she types, and chase every moment of silence like it's a problem to solve. But all that constant noise kills the very thing that creates attraction. Mystery. A Sigma man knows that attraction needs air to breathe. Silence and space aren't threats. They're tools. Distance, when it's genuine, becomes magnetic. It's not about pulling away to play games or manipulate emotions. It's about pulling back to protect your peace. Because your peace is where your strength comes from. When you step away, something subtle happens. She feels the shift. At first, she might tell herself she doesn't care. She'll distract herself with friends, with work, with her phone. But silence has a weight that time can't hide. Late at night, when everything else quiets down, her thoughts will find you. What's he doing? Why hasn't he called? Has he moved on? The moment those questions appear, she's already thinking about you more than she planned to. That's the paradox of desire. When you give too much, your presence becomes ordinary. But when you give just enough and then step back, your absence becomes noticeable. Attention makes her comfortable, but it's your distance that makes you valuable. This isn't about ignoring her or pretending to be busy. It's about living your life so fully that you never have to fake it. When you pull back, it's not punishment. It's preservation. You're showing that your happiness doesn't depend on her attention, and that realization is powerful. A Sigma doesn't chase to stay relevant. He gives space to create curiosity. Curiosity is what fuels attraction. When she doesn't know what you're doing, when she can't quite read your emotions, her mind starts to fill the silence with thoughts of you. That wondering, that subtle tension, that's where desire lives. So text less. Wait longer. Don't rush to fill every quiet moment with words. Your silence speaks a language her emotions understand far better than your explanations ever could. When you don't try to prove that you care, you allow her to feel it on her own. Let her think. Let her miss you. Let her feel the difference between your calm and the chaos she's used to. When she realizes that your life keeps moving, with or without her, something clicks inside her. She sees that you were never trying to hold her. You were simply being the kind of man whose energy is impossible to forget. Scarcity builds value, not words. My silence speaks. Be predictably mysterious. You never have to explain every part of yourself for someone to understand you. Real attraction doesn't grow from long explanations or constant updates. It grows from curiosity, from what's felt but not fully known. Information fades, but imagination stays alive. That's why a woman doesn't need to completely understand you. She needs to feel you. She needs to sense that there's more to you than what she can see. That's the quiet difference between being liked and being remembered. A Sigma man understands this instinctively. He never throws all his cards on the table. He shares just enough to create connection, but never enough to kill mystery. He offers glimpses, not his whole story. Small truths, not his every thought. Predictable enough to be trusted, unpredictable enough to stay on her mind. In a world where everyone overshares, posting emotions, daily routines, and every fleeting thought online, being private is rare. The Sigma doesn't need to broadcast. He doesn't chase attention by explaining himself to everyone. He knows that what's private holds power. What's kept sacred carries value. Mystery isn't about disappearing or being distant. It's about having depth. It's not about withholding love. It's about giving it intentionally, slowly, in pieces that mean something. It's knowing when to speak and when silence can say more. It's smiling instead of explaining. It's letting her feel your emotions through presence instead of performance. The more she has to wonder, the more she starts to feel. When she knows everything about you, her mind relaxes and the spark begins to fade. But when she senses there are layers she hasn't touched yet, her curiosity becomes desire. That uncertainty keeps her thinking about you, trying to understand the part of you that refuses to be fully known. She'll catch herself asking questions she can't answer. Who is he really? What's behind that calm? Why does he seem unshaken by anything? And in trying to figure you out, she ends up emotionally invested. That's the power of mystery. It turns you from someone she understands into someone she feels compelled to understand. A Sigma doesn't hide, he simply chooses when to be seen. He doesn't withhold emotion out of fear, he times it out of awareness. Each reveal is deliberate. Every truth he shares carries weight because it isn't thrown around carelessly. When you hold something back, you don't lose connection. You create tension, and tension is what keeps her imagination chasing you long after the conversation ends. That gentle uncertainty keeps her mind awake and her emotions engaged. So stop trying to be louder or more visible. Speak less, reveal slower. Because a man who moves in silence is never fully solved, and what can't be solved can't be forgotten. Mystery isn't confusion. It's controlled revelation. I reveal less, so she feels more. Protect your frame like a fortress. Every woman, whether she's aware of it or not, will test a man's stability. It's not because she wants to dominate him or play games, it's because she wants to feel something real, strength, steadiness, the kind of grounded energy that lets her know she's safe in your presence. Her subconscious is always asking one question. Can he stay calm when things get tense? Can I trust his energy when mine is uncertain? That's what every emotional test is really about. It's not a challenge to your worth, it's a test of your center. Most men fail this test without even realizing it. They react, they argue, defend, explain, and try to fix things with logic or words. But when you react, you lose your balance. You step out of your power and into hers. You start chasing emotional stability instead of being it. A Sigma man knows better. He doesn't fight her energy. He absorbs it. He lets emotions flow around him without letting them move through him. She argues. He stays calm. She teases. He smiles. She pulls away. He doesn't chase. He stays focused on his rhythm, his path, his peace. That's what protecting your frame really means. It's not arrogance or control. It's composure, that inner stillness that can't be shaken no matter what happens outside. You're not trying to overpower her emotions. You're showing that yours don't depend on hers. Frame isn't control, it's composure. And that composure changes everything. Because a woman feels safest with a man who doesn't lose himself trying to handle her. Your calm tells her without words, I can hold space for your chaos and still remain whole. That's power. That's what leadership looks like without domination. Quiet strength that anchors rather than commands. Stoic philosophy calls this mastery over impulse, the ability to stay unmoved in the middle of emotion. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about clarity under fire, the discipline to think clearly when others panic. Any man can look confident when things are easy, but only the disciplined man stays calm when emotions rise, when words cut, when silence stretches long enough to make others uncomfortable. That's the man who earns respect. That's the man she instinctively trusts. Protect your frame like a fortress. Don't let emotions, hers or yours, breach your walls, because once your peace collapses, so does your power. When you guard that peace, you stop being reactive and start being revered. When you hold your frame, you teach her something she'll never forget. That real masculinity isn't about control. It's about presence. It's about being unshaken when everything around you trembles. The strongest man in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who never breaks his peace. My calm is my fortress. Desire without dependence. The Sigma man doesn't avoid love. He refines it. He knows that love built on dependence is fragile, but love born from strength lasts. He understands that he can care deeply, give fully, and still stay free. Most men confuse intensity with depth. They mistake obsession for connection. They think that loving someone means surrendering their peace, constantly checking, constantly proving, constantly needing to know where they stand. But need and love are not the same. When your desire turns into dependence, you stop standing tall. You start orbiting around her moods. The Sigma sees desire differently. He knows wanting someone is natural, but needing them to make you feel worthy. That's weakness pretending to be romance. When your happiness depends on her approval, you've already handed over your power. And once she feels that imbalance, attraction begins to fade. But when your desire comes from a place of fullness, everything changes. You stop seeking permission to feel valuable. You stop needing her attention to feel seen. Your energy no longer says, please choose me. It quietly says, I'm complete, with or without you. That difference is felt, not spoken. A woman can sense it instantly. She can feel the man who wants her compared to the man who depends on her. The first draws her in. The second drains her. One feels light, confident, open. The other feels heavy, pressured, uncertain. When your heart is full, your energy becomes abundance. You're not reaching out from emptiness. You're overflowing. You don't need to prove your worth. You live it. You don't chase attention. You invite presence. You move with calm certainty. And that quiet independence is what draws her closer. Because there's something magnetic about a man who can love deeply but remain unshaken if love ever leaves. He doesn't close himself off. He doesn't play cold or detached. He simply knows that his peace is his own. That no matter who stays or goes, he remains whole. That's the Sigma paradox. Desire without dependence, fire without fear, passion without possession. You can hold her without CL. What you've just heard isn't about manipulation or playing games. It isn't about pretending to be something you're not or tricking someone into liking you. It's about something much deeper, mastery. mastery over your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions, your presence. Because a Sigma doesn't waste his energy trying to control people, he controls himself. And that kind of control, quiet, steady, and unwavering, naturally changes how others respond to him. He doesn't chase influence, he embodies it. He doesn't brainwash anyone, he doesn't need to. He simply becomes so centered, so grounded in who he is, that the world slowly adjusts to his frequency. His peace becomes contagious, his calm becomes influence, his stillness becomes gravity. When you stop chasing approval, something powerful happens. Your energy changes, you stop giving off desperation, and you start radiating authority. When you stop reacting to every emotion and begin observing instead, you start to command attention without ever asking for it. And when you stop trying to convince people and instead become what you're saying, that's when everything flips. That's the quiet power of the Sigma. No performance, no pretense, just presence. And presence is the most attractive energy on Earth. So from this point forward, talk less, move slower, react with intention, not impulse, lead with calm, not control. Because the man who owns his stillness owns every room he walks into. He doesn't chase attention. Attention moves toward him. When you reach that level of peace, you'll notice how people begin to change around you. They'll lower their tone when you're calm. They'll open up when you simply listen. They'll trust you when you say very little. And she'll feel you, even in your silence, even when you're not there. That's not a trick. That's alignment. That's what happens when a man stops needing to be chosen and starts being the choice. When he stops chasing validation and starts living from value. If this message spoke to you, share it. Drop your favorite lesson in the comments. Send it to a brother who's lost his center, who's forgotten that real strength doesn't need to prove itself. Real power doesn't shout. It just is. Subscribe for more content on Stoic masculinity and the Sigma mindset. Because true power isn't loud, it's quiet, it's disciplined, it's untouchable. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay calm, because in the end, the calmest man always wins.